Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, Azelrix here and welcome to Screen Scene, the show where I will review a movie or TV show. And today, we will be watching The Big Bang Theory. Okay, so first of all, I hear you. I already made a video on The Big Bang Theory that depicted why the show is toxic for its target audience. But in this video, I talked about the show as a whole without targeting a specific point. And after that, I made a review of the first episode of Young Sheldon, which I concluded that was not that bad, even it was pretty decent. That's why today we give it a second chance by reviewing the first episode of The Big Bang Theory. So without further ado, let's roll! So the first episode opens on an hospital corridor where we meet our main characters, Sheldon and Leonard.
So if a photon is directed through a plane with two slits in it and either slit is observed, it will not go through both slits. If it's unobserved, it will.
Obviously it is elementary.
What's your point?
There's no point, I just think it's a good idea for a t-shirt.
Okay, so I might just get that out of the way right now. 50% of the joke in The Big Bang Theory consists in an inappropriately smart comment full of scientific terms that not everyone can understand. That way, the audience can feel smart by laughing at a joke that they don't always understand. But fear not, there is an overly aggressive laugh track that tells you when to laugh.
Phylum.
What? And I'm wondering... Humans!
Super overly aggressive laugh track. Also, we give the show a lot of hatred because of Sheldon's behavior, but Leonard can be quite a jerk too.
6 across is MCM. 14 down is your finger. Phylum, which makes 14 across Port-au-Prince.
Yes, obviously the receptionist should have helped you, but it's not a reason to spoil your fun and finish your crossword. With that kind of attitude, no wonder you're getting bullied.
Is this the high IQ sperm bank?
If you have to ask, maybe you shouldn't be here.
Top 1 minute into the first episode and we're already at our first joke. I love the mid-2000s. And now Sheldon has a crisis because he fears that his sperm might be used to produce something worse than the offspring of Satan himself. A not that smart child. Okay, everything's great. But after this introduction scene, what do we know? Leonard is a passive-aggressive dork and Sheldon is a pretentious asshole. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. 2 minutes into the first episode and I can already tell that these two are an incredible pair of winners.
I want to leave.
Me too, Sheldon. Me too. We cut to them getting back home and surprise, there is a new neighbor next door. This is our third main character, Penny.
Significant improvement over the old neighbor.
200-pound transvestite with a skin condition? Yes, she is.
Alert, this joke has aged poorly, alert.
Okay, so let's talk about this encounter. Penny is the new girl on the block and she is moving with her door open. Seeing through it, she sees two gentlemen staring at her. Instead of wondering why two strangers are glaring at her, she just starts to talk to them and is super friendly.
We don't mean to interrupt. We live across the hall.
Oh, that's nice.
This is how porn starts. Are we sure this isn't porn?
No, we don't live together. I mean, we live together, but in separate heterosexual bedrooms.
Yes, already in the first episode we've disrespected transsexuals and homosexuals because remember, if you're a man living with another man, it means you are homosexuals. And in the mid-2000s, what do we think about homosexuals? We think that if you're offended by this joke, just call 911, find my address to burn me alive, or just man up and understand that I am just paraphrasing a show where most of the joke consists to burn someone on their sexual orientation. Please, thank you, you're a dear, I love you. Sheldon and Leonard debates whether or not to invite Penny for coffee and...
We need to widen our circle.
I have a very wide circle. I have 212 friends on MySpace.
Man, 2007 was a long time ago. And there is a first time for everything. I'm gonna grant one compliment to The Big Bang Theory. In this scene, Leonard wants to invite Penny over and Sheldon is reluctant because he has zero people skills. This establishes Leonard as someone who is more capable than Sheldon to behave in a society, and also it establishes Sheldon as someone who is antisocial and wants nothing to do with his neighbors. These themes will be repeated throughout the show, and this is a great example of characterization and coherence in the writing.
We brought home Indian food, and I know that moving can be stressful, and I find that when I'm undergoing stress, that good food and company can have a comforting effect.
Did Leonard just crap his pants in front of Penny? Cause that's the face you do when you crap your pants in front of Penny.
What do you guys do for fun around here?
Well, today we tried masturbating for money.
Okay, sometimes there are funny jokes. And why was this joke funny even though I said it wasn't funny at the beginning of the episode? Because this time it was well timed, well prepared, and most importantly, it had context. So Penny comes into their apartment and we run into the biggest problem in the entire show. In this scene, Penny notices Sheldon's board with all his calculation on it.
Just some quantum mechanics with a little string theory doodling around the edges. That part there, that's just a joke. It's a spoof of the Born-Oppenheimer approximation.
The question here being, why is there a laugh track? He just said a bunch of scientific terms that anyone who studies in this field can understand. And I know that the ground base of the joke is that Penny is not smart enough to understand Sheldon, but let's transpose that. First of all, if Sheldon was a furniture seller instead of a scientist, would there be a laugh track every time you see a bed or a shelf on screen? And two, let's just appreciate the shift in Sheldon's behavior right now.
Wow, this seems so smart. Tell me more about your board.
Oh, woman understands board. Sheldon wants vagina.
Are we sure this isn't porn?
Penny, that's where I sit.
Sit next to me.
No, I sit there.
Obviously, we had to come to this eventually. The most infamous Big Bang Theory running gag, Sheldon's spot. The gag comes from the fact that Sheldon needs to be sitting in this exact spot in every episode. And honestly, I kinda like the joke, but for the first one, it's poorly delivered. Here the joke comes from the fact that Sheldon wants Penny to move, thus making him a poor host. Fine, but when you think about it, Penny's kind of being a crappy guest. She got in their apartment like 20 nanoseconds ago. If someone tells you not to sit somewhere in their house, you don't sit there and be done with it. Next, we get into some passionate details about Penny's life.
I'm a Sagittarius, which probably tells you way more than you need to know.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people think I'm a water sign.
Let's not get into the astrology debate. I can't remain politically correct on that. Then we learn that Penny is a false vegetarian. Once again, great characterization.
Let's see, what else? Oh, I'm a vegetarian, no, except for fish. And the occasional steak. I love steak.
I know that the Big Bang Theory ripped off Friends, but did they have to plagiarize Rachel and uplift Penny on the throne of worst person of the year? Seriously? But we get to our next plot point. Penny's ex-boyfriend is a jerk. She's still in love with him. So Leonard and Sheldon try to comfort her. Leonard invites her to take a shower. Are we sure this isn't porn?
It's been some time since we've had a woman take her clothes off in our apartment.
That's not true. Remember at Thanksgiving, my grandmother with Alzheimer's had that episode?
Accurate, but what the f***? For the next scene, while Penny is in the shower, Leonard and Sheldon argue if Penny would sleep with Leonard. And, at the risk of sounding like a social justice warrior, shouldn't Penny be consulted in these kinds of decisions? Because she's like 50% of the interest party. But then they are interrupted by the arrival of our two final main characters. Raj, the walking racist stereotype, and Howard, the walking anti-Semitic stereotype. 2007, don't act like these were not in every sitcom. Eventually they learn about the fact that there is a woman in the apartment.
Hang on, there really is a lady here?
Nah, I'm sure Howard isn't that bad. He's not a bad caricature of the geek culture.
And you want us out because you're anticipating coitus? She's available for coitus? Can we...
So then Penny walks into the living room full of men wearing only a bath towel, and for God's sake, are we sure this isn't porn?
Enchanté, mademoiselle. Howard Wolowitz, Caltech Department of Applied Physics. You may be familiar with some of my work at Bung Douche. It's French for a good shower. It's a sentiment I can express in 6 languages.
Howard, please stop talking. I'm begging you. Next, Penny asks Leonard for a favor, retrieving her TV to her ex-boyfriend's apartment. The ex-boyfriend turns out to be the cliché of a bully, and Leonard and Sheldon leaves his apartment without their pants on. And that's play for laughter. Someone called the police. He just assaulted 2 gentlemen who politely asked him to get back a TV that doesn't belong to him. Anyway, the episode ends on Penny taking the guys out for lunch, and that's the first episode of Big Bang Theory. You already all know what I think about the show, but in itself, it ain't that bad of a first episode. The main problem for the rest of the series comes from the fact that Chuck Lorre and his team do not master the art of telling this type of story. The show has some undeniable quality, like the wonderful acting of our cast, especially from Jim Parsons portraying Sheldon Cooper, who still today is regarded as a wonder in the world of sitcom actors. But what about you guys? Do you like the Big Bang Theory? Tell me that in the comments, and don't forget to suggest me some movie or TV show to review next. Then subscribe and activate the bell to be notified when a new video comes up. Share this video with all your friends, and as always, thanks for watching.